Welcome to the Small Urban and Rural State of Good Repair web application. Hi, my name is Dilip Mistry. I am a data scientist at Small Urban and Rural Center on Mobility, in short SURCOM, under Upper Great Plains Transportation Institute at North Dakota State University. Recently, the SURCOM team developed a web application for the state of good repair for small urban and rural transit systems. The tool will determine the current condition of the revenue vehicles, predict when they need to be replaced, and determine the funding needed to replace them in a future year to maintain the state of good repair. The primary objective of this web application is to improve and maintain America's small urban and rural revenue vehicles in a good physical condition so that a smaller transit system can successfully keep their transit vehicles in a state of good repair. Therefore, at first, the SURCOM team developed a machine learning predictive model to predict the projected replacement year of transit vehicles for rural and small urban transit agencies. Reports were generated from the most current national transit database data. And secondly, the SURCOM team built a financial analysis tool to estimate the current backlog and predict yearly projected vehicle replacement cost. The backlog and vehicle replacement costs were calculated from the vehicle cost data acquired from the American Public Transportation Association. The web link for the application can be found at UZPTI website, or you can type as sgr.uzpti.org. Once you access to this application, please click the dashboard link and you will get access to the state of good repair reports. As you can see, there are 3 tabs in the left panel. By default, the topmost tab for revenue vehicle statistics shows the report for fleet information for all small urban and rural transit systems. There are 2 drop-down filters available to generate for your query. By default, this report shows for all states, including USA territories, and for all transit agencies. This report shows the number of vehicles by vehicle type. The number in is bar indicates the number of vehicles. As indicated in the bar chart, there are 18,298 cartways for all small urban and rural transit agencies in USA. Now, you can click the drop-down button for a state and select any state of your choice. This will display the number of revenue vehicles for all transit agencies of that selected state. For example, let me choose North Dakota from the state drop-down menu. As you can see, the number of vehicles by vehicle type currently in North Dakota state. Again, if you want to get a report for any transit agency in that selected state, please click the transit agency drop-down menu and select transit agency of your choice. Here, let me select Bisman Transit Board Transit Agency from the list. This report shows the number of revenue vehicles for Bisman Transit Board Transit Agency by vehicle type. Now, click the second tab in the application. The second tab shows the state of good repair reports for small urban and rural transit systems. The revenue vehicles state of good repair reports are generated from the predicted results of machine learning model. The backlog and as for small urban and rural vehicles are calculated from the projected determined years, which were prior to 2021. And the projected vehicle replacement were calculated with the replacement of the same number of retired vehicles. The second sub-tab shows the backlog and replacement cost. The backlog and replacement cost were calculated from the APTA's public transportation vehicle database. The first tab shows number of revenue vehicles replaced And the second tab shows the backlog and replacement cost. By default, the report shows the number of backlog and the number of revenue vehicles replaced in each year from 2021 to 2032. The highlighted yellow in the left bar shows 7,851 vehicles are in backlog for all small urban and rural transit system. And if you hover over other bars in any year, it shows how many vehicles need to be replaced in that particular year to maintain a state of good repair. If you click backlog and replacement cost sub-tab, you will see dollar values for backlog and replacement cost in each year for long range plan from 2021 to 2032. The yellow highlighted bar in the left shows about $1.3 billion will be needed to eliminate backlog, and the dollars values in each year shows the amount of fund will be needed to replace vehicles in that year to maintain the state of good repair. Now let me click back the number of revenue vehicles sub-tab. You can click state drop-down menu and choose any state of your choice from the report. For example, let me select North Dakota from the list. Once you select North Dakota, you will see the number changes in the report to reflect the number of revenue vehicles for North Dakota's all transit agencies and for all vehicle type. You can see there are 57 vehicles are in backlog. Now, to see the backlog and replacement cost for North Dakota, click Backlog and Replacement Cost tab. You will see from the chart that about $7.2 million will be needed to eliminate 57 vehicles which are listed as a backlog. And the other dollar values in each year shows the amount will be needed to replace vehicles in that particular year to maintain a state of good repair. Again, you can see the report for any vehicle type for North Dakota by filtering vehicle type. For example, if you choose cutaway from the drop-down menu, you will see that there are 22 cutaways in backlog, and the number of vehicles in each year show for replacement in that particular year. With the above selection, you can see the backlog and replacement cost by simply clicking the backlog and replacement cost sub-tab. You can see that $1.9 million will be needed to replace 22 cutaways. And the dollar values in each year show how much will be needed in that corresponding year to maintain backlog for cutaways. If you want to see the report for any particular transit agency, you simply drill down transit agency menu and choose that transit agency. For example, let me choose South Central from the transit agency menu. We'll see the report for South Central Adult Service Agency. Furthermore, you can choose any vehicle type from the list and choose cutaway and see the number of vehicles in backlog and the replacement report. In the similar way, you will see able to see the cost for backlog and replacement cost by simply clicking the backlog and replacement cost sub-tab. The third tab represents SGR backlog prioritization reports. As described in the previous report, the SGR backlog for small urban and rural transit vehicles are calculated from the projected retirement years, which were prior to 2021. Due to funding constraint, sometimes it would be very difficult to eliminate all the backlog. Therefore, the overall backlog was categorized into 3 prioritization groups based on the projected retirement years. There are 2 types of reports in this application. The first report is backlog prioritization by vehicle type, and the second report is backlog for prioritization cost by vehicle type. By default, you will be able to see the number of revenue vehicles as backlog by vehicle type. As you can see from the graph, there are 1,398 buses and 4,192 cutaways, and other numbers shown here are in backlog. If you want to see the cost for replacing those number of backlog vehicles, simply click Backlog Prioritization Cost by Vehicle Type subtab, and you will see how much fund will be needed to replace those vehicles. For example, here you will see that $480 million will be needed to replace those 1,398 buses. As I mentioned earlier, there are funding constraints to replace backlog vehicles at once. Therefore, the SURCOM team decided to categorize overall backlog by setting priority based on projected retirement age. The priority 1 or high priority was set for vehicles projected to be retired before 2015. As we can see, the number of vehicles in each vehicle type that need to be replaced as high priority. If you want to see the funding needed for replacing them, please click Backlog Prioritization Cost by Vehicle Type as a subtab. Similarly, the priority 2 or medium priority was set for vehicle projected to be retired from 2016 to 2018. So these are the number of vehicles by vehicle type as priority 2. And these are the dollar values by vehicle type to replace them as priority 2. Finally, the priority 3 or low priority was set for vehicles projected to be retired from 2019 to 2020. These are the number of vehicles by vehicle type as priority 3. And these are the dollar values by vehicle type to replace them as priority 3. In the similar fashion, you will be able to see backlog prioritization report for any state or for any transit agency in your choice. Now you can click Home to go back to the dashboard. Since many transit agencies in small urban and rural transit systems do not have good analytical tools for predicting the service life of vehicles, this simple predictive model would be a valuable resource for their state of good repair needs and their prioritization of capital needs for replacement and rehabilitation. Now, if you have any questions regarding this HGR web application, or if you want to know more about this web application, please click Contact menu in the main dashboard and you will get information to contact us. Thank you.